You know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. It'd be just like walking to the drugstore.
Charles Miles Manson. Although it's been 51 years since the cult leader ordered the brutal slayings of an 8.5-month pregnant Sharon Tate and her 4 other friends, as well as Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, the name Manson can bring chills to any person in America, even today. What makes him even more controversial is that he never laid a hand on any of his victims. His family was doing his bidding. Manson's family consisted of both runaway teens with broken homes and seemingly normal teens with a seemingly normal life. Clouded by the overwhelming love that Manson offered them, the Manson family proved that they would die and even kill for Manson, their prophet. The family was so in love and brainwashed by their messiah that they acted out his nefarious bidding. Although Manson took advantage of the free love culture many young people embraced in the late 60s, those who've studied Manson believe that he also employed a series of tactics aimed at manipulating his female followers and found ways to make each feel loved and understood.
What do you think of women?
Oh, I like them. Yeah, they're nice. They're put together well and everything, and they're soft and spongy. Yeah, they're nice. As long as they keep their mouth shut and do what they're supposed to do.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what a woman's supposed to do.
Keep her mouth shut and do what she's supposed to do?
Sure.
Looking deeper into it, the key to Manson's mind control was making himself into a godlike figure that is superior to his followers but would also provide them with a sort of supreme love. With a combination of heavy LSD use and taking advantage of young runaway girls with broken homes, he achieved this god figure with chilling ease. We spoke with Saratoga High School psychologist Michael Sloan about what leads normal people to leave their normal lives and join people like Manson, and what leads cult leaders to seek this total control.
One thing to look at is people having some vulnerability in their life, something that makes them especially vulnerable or weak to strong personalities, strong kind of leaders, even if they're leading them in a negative direction.
He convinced them that the whole reason for their existence and survival is completely tied up with the leader and the cult, ensuring their loyalty. In return, he would reward them with satisfying their basic needs. Critical thinking was basically non-existent, as Manson did all of that for them. This asphyxiating and ever-present control can be used to explain why so many members of his family justified doing these terrible things. All of them wanted to please Manson as you would please God, and the Tate LaBianca murders were the ultimate test of their loyalty and sacrifice. Many members of the Manson family have spoken about their experience with Manson and life in the cult. One notable member is Diane Lake, who was just 14 years old at the time that she joined the cult. She spoke about her experience in the cult and her special relationship with Manson himself, describing him as a charismatic and loving person who was both a father figure and a person that she was infatuated with. Quote, "He made love to me like I'd never experienced before in a way that made me feel like a woman. It was the most magical experience I have ever encountered." When she first met Manson, she had been separated from her family, who themselves had lived a hippie nomadic lifestyle. She met him at a party in November of 1967, where he offered her a root beer and asked her to come join him in the circle where he was playing the guitar. She recalls that night as being a magical experience. That night, he took me to the bus and made love to me. He made me feel very special, and made me feel accepted, and loved, and wanted, not like a little girl. However, being in the Manson family was not the perfect euphoric environment he portrayed it to be all the time. A tactic used by Manson to further isolate his followers from their previous lives was to give them each their own new names. Diane's was Snake. She recalls the torture she endured at the hands of Manson. Quote, "He beat me with an electrical cord and winked while he was doing it, as if to say, 'You can take it, Snake, I'm just making an example of you.'" Then, one day, Diane became jealous of the attention Manson was giving to other girls, so she asked him for sex, and in return, he, quote, "took me to the gypsy caravan in a meadow, and turned me around and sodomized me roughly. It wasn't what I wanted. He made me cry and just said, "This is the way that we do it in prison," something to that effect. And then he left me, and I never asked him for sex again.
So when people have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, they're often feel better about themselves and feel stronger when they're around strong people, or people that they perceive as being strong or aggressive.
Another devoted member of Manson's family was Susan Atkins, who proved her loyalty to Manson through the involvement in the murder of Gary Hinman and the Tate LaBianca murders. She met Charles Manson when she was only 19 after dropping out of high school and moving from place to place. She later recalled, quote, "His voice, his manner, just more or less hypnotized me, mesmerized me," end quote. And that he, quote, "represented a Jesus Christ-like person," end quote. Manson would make sure that all of the family members participated in acid trips and listened to his lectures, further brainwashing them so that they wouldn't leave his side. Atkins' first test of loyalty was the murder of Gary Hinman. Manson plotted to have Atkins and 2 others torture him in order to get his inheritance money. They spent 3 days torturing him and then eventually killed him. Her next test was when she murdered Sharon Tate. Atkins told Tate, quote, "Woman, I have no mercy for you," end quote. Susan Atkins was then sentenced to life in prison and was denied parole 12 times. In September of 2009, she died in prison. 3 years after his death, Charles Manson remains one of the most infamous cult leaders in criminal history. He conjured a false reality, an altered state of consciousness and existence for his followers to live in, and thus they blindly followed him. Manson constructed a new world for them, in which he was the center, an all-knowing force that provided them with unconditional love that they may have not experienced in their previous life. Manson, now, years after his reign over the hippies of Southern California, still has loyal followers ready to defend him at every chance. His life, his body, his soul, they're all gone. His story, however, will always be imminent for years to come.
Tell me in a sentence who you are.